That to the last section,
sure.
I think.
Okay, yeah.
I'd like to talk. I've had people like Boom Shanker and David in Cambridge asking about the reptile people again,
right.
and exactly. Perhaps I'd like to ask a question here that in the book you describe it, and some of the illustrations describe it in a way where some of them are kind of operating through these human hybrids, and some of them are able to actually shapeshift into humans, and they are actually the aliens. Is that correct, or have I misunderstood?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, one of the big things that I've learned over the last 20 years of following this journey is there's never one answer, there's never one explanation for anything, because there's far more possibility, even within our reality, than we understand. So it can happen like this, it can happen like that. It's like invading Iraq. Yes, it was for oil, but it wasn't only for oil. And yes, it was for this, but not only for that. Yes, it was for this, not only for that. So there are multiple possibilities. And it's the same with all this whole shape-shifting stuff. There are many different explanations for it. But the key one, seems to me, is the possession part of it. That seems to be the key one. And also, these entities that are vibrating, their base vibration is outside of this reality. They can come into this reality, but they can't stay for too long because they get a problem with their vibrational resonance compatible with the base resonance of the frequency that they're experiencing. And it was another thing that started coming into my research a long time ago, Theo, and that
David,
was blood drinking.
We're going to go for another break now. Once again, if you'd like to text in your brief questions or comments for David Icke, please do so now. See you back here very soon. Welcome back to On the Edge with me, Theo Chalmers, and my special guest, David Icke. As you can tell, our live audience has woken up. We have a very small live audience of people who have worked here, and they're going to wave goodbye to you all at the end, hopefully. So, David, before the break there, we were talking about these, you know, these aliens, these reptiles, that from another...
The serpent race, as the ancients used to call them.
And they're from some kind of parallel vibration, so they're very close to us.
Right, very close to us, yeah.
But they know we're here, and we generally don't know they're there.
Yeah. And
they can either control people who are close to their vibration because they've deliberately interbred with humans.
Got this genetics, yeah. And actually, something that's happened only in the last week, a story that was in all the newspapers about this guy, Craig Venter.
Oh, yes, he's created that artificial organism.
Created an artificial cell, in effect.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, because it relates to this very strongly, what's interesting to me is, you know, I've been talking to you for years about the fact that the body is a biological computer. And I was fascinated to see when Craig Venter was explaining what he did, that he was using computer terms all the time. And what he was saying was that once you've got the cell, if you can, and these were his words, if you can put in different software, if you can rewrite the software in effect, the cell then just goes on following the program of the software. So, you know, when we are talking about interbreeding between species, it doesn't necessarily have to be done through sexual procreation. There are many genetic things that can be done, including that, because this is an important thing to stress. I kind of hinted at it earlier. These entities are very, very much, to say the least, ahead of us in the public arena anyway, technologically, in their understanding of this reality. So what they are capable of is far greater than what humans are capable of. And if we, like I say, and it's so important why I stress it, if we perceive what is possible by what is possible in our reality and our limitation of potential, then we're never going to get what they're actually doing. When we get to the moon, that's even more important. But the thing about the blood is very, very important too, very much part of this. See, what has happened in my life over the last 20 years is themes have come in. And when you go, so I mean, I've been to over 50 countries now researching this. And when you keep going around the world and you keep coming up with the same thing, there's a reason for it. And one of the common themes with these Illuminati bloodlines, when you follow and research them through, is pedophilia comes up all the time, and Satanism, blood-drinking human sacrifice ceremonies. And these two are fundamentally connected. And the blood drinking is to allow them to stay in this reality for longer than they normally would. Why? Because they have a hybrid genetic code. They have a hybrid DNA, if you like. And they can open the human codes and stay in this reality for longer, despite the vibrational incompatibility, by drinking human blood, which carries the human genetic, therefore vibrational code. This is why they drink it so much, as a matter of course. And they're also hiring you can connect with them, what are sharing the same space now in the two on different vibrational wavelengths. So for entities to feed off human energy, which they do, it's a massively common. They produce this energy. So if you look at the way that human society is structured, it is actually structured to produce that energy. And so when you have like a war, a world war, think of the energy that's being generated within that frequency range at a time of massive conflict, of fear, and all the rest of it. And that's in part, not the only reason, but that is in part why society is structured as it is. And then we come to the pedophilia part of this, because when something keeps happening and keeps coming up, the question needs to be asked, why? What is it about these people that they want to have sex with children? And as I've moved along the journey and followed the dots and followed the clues, what they're doing, pedophiles, is acting as a conduit between the child